Alright, this is a video I've been waiting a long time to make because after months of delays, speculations and a lot of unanswered answers, I finally have the XForge phone in my hands, and today I'm giving you a full update on what changed over the last couple of months, what changed compared to the original specs, which is very important, and whether this thing actually delivers on what was promised. So let's talk about what this phone was supposed to be versus what it actually turned into. When XForge was first announced, the pitch was pretty bold, right? This wasn't framed as some basic crypto gadget. It was supposed to be a legit high-performance smartphone. We're talking about a device powered by a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is a flagship level chip. Now, on top of that, it was set to come with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. Now, that already puts it in serious territory. And then you add the whole gaming phone angle plus what sounded like a premium display. Now, most people assumed AMOLED, and the picture they painted was clear. This was supposed to be a phone you'd actually want to use every day, not just something sitting on your desk running crypto stuff in the background, right? So the expectations were very high. It felt like you were getting a strong Android phone with a bonus layer where you could earn through your nodes. But then as time went on, things started to shift. The latest specs tell a whole different story. Instead of a clearly named flagship processor, now it's just described as an octa-core CPU. No mention of Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 anymore. Now the RAM also dropped from 12 gigabytes down to 8 gigabytes and storage stayed the same at 256 gigabytes, so at least that didn't change. Now this display also took a step down, right? Instead of something premium, you're now looking at a 6.56 inch HD plus screen, and that's more in line with mid-range devices. And then there's the connectivity, which is very important as well. It's 4G only, so no 5G, which in 2026 is kind of surprising. Charging the phone can be done with 18 watts, which is fine, but nothing special. And the camera setup also more mid-range than anything else. Now, I will be making a dedicated video on like all of the features of this phone, where you can actually see them in daily practice, right? So also the camera. But my first impressions, I'll leave that in the middle, right? Now, when you zoom out, the bigger point becomes obvious. This is not the same phone that was originally presented. At first, it felt like, here's a powerful phone that also does crypto. And now it feels more like, here's a crypto device that happens to be a phone. And that shift changes how you look at the whole project. Now, I have to say, rather than focusing on the negative, we should see how we can address the positive, right? Now, this is not a flagship smartphone that happens to have some crypto features on the side. This is basically a node device that's been packed as a phone. And the main thing is that it's built for running what they call Zordian nodes. And you can run quite a few of them, up to 20 node keys on a single device. And that's actually a big part of the whole pitch, because that's where the earning side comes in through their Kick token. So instead of thinking, is this a good phone for gaming or daily use, the better question is this a good device for participating in the network? Because that's clearly the priority here. And when you look at it that way, the hardware choices start to become and make more sense when you look at it. It's not trying to compete with high-end smartphones anymore. It's trying to be a stable, always on, and capable of handling node activity without issues. And that leads to a pretty important shift in how you look at the whole thing. At the beginning, the idea felt like you're getting a strong phone, and on top of that, you can earn crypto, right? But now it feels the opposite. You're getting a crypto device, and it just happens to work as a phone too. And that's a big difference, because it means the real value isn't in the hardware itself, it's in the network, the rewards, and whether that ecosystem actually grows. So if you're gonna judge this like a normal smartphone, you'll probably be disappointed, right? But if you judge it as a node device in your pocket, then it starts to make a lot more sense. Now let's honestly talk about the next thing, right? Now that it's actually in hand and not just a concept, there are some clear positives. First of all, it exists. And that might sound basic, but after all of the delays, that's already a big step. Now the node system is working, you can run Zordian nodes, and you can interact with the ecosystem the way it was intended. And the price is still relatively low, which makes it easier to get involved compared to setting up more complicated node setups. And trust me, I had a few of them. Some worked, others didn't, and this is actually the most easiest one I've had so far. But there are also some obvious downsides, right? The biggest one is the hardware. If you remember how this phone was originally presented, this is not that device. The expectations were set way higher in the beginning, and what you get now is much more mid-range. And that gap is pretty hard to ignore, especially if you've been following the project from the start, which you could have done if you've subscribed to my channel, because I have been covering this phone for quite some time now. Now also, since we're taking a break now anyways, quick reminder, I'm not a registered financial advisor, so you should do your own research and make sure you have all the facts straight before you make any decisions. And this phone, in comparison to other phones, this has been sent to me by the XForge team, so a huge thank you to them, right? Okay, moving on. So this took a long time to ship, right, with multiple delays along the way. And during that period, there wasn't always a lot of clarity, which made people question what was really going on behind the scenes. So even the device is here now, some of that trust has already been affected. But the biggest thing you need to understand is this. The value of this phone doesn't really come from the phone itself, it comes from the ecosystem around it. Everything depends on how the Kik token performs, how many people join the network, and whether this whole system actually gains traction. And that's the real bet that you're making. So you're not just buying a device, you're buying into an ecosystem. And that means the upside could be there, but it also means there's risk attached to it, just like any other investment, but that's the trade-off. So the big question is, should you actually care about this in 2026, right? And the honest answer is, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're someone who's into things like deep in, running nodes, and getting into early stage crypto ecosystems, then this might still be interesting. Now, it gives you a relatively simple way to get involved without setting up a bunch of separate hardware. Everything is kind of packaged into one device, which makes it easy to experiment with. And in that case, you're not really buying it for the phone itself, you're buying it for access to the network and the potential rewards that come with it. But if you're just looking for a solid smartphone, this probably isn't the one. There are plenty of devices out there that will give you better performance, better screens, better cameras, all for the same price or just a little bit more, right? So if your main goal is to just have a good daily driver, this doesn't really compete. And that's the key point. This isn't meant to be the best phone. It's meant to be a specific kind of tool. So whether it makes sense for you comes down to one thing. Are you interested in the ecosystem behind it or not? Because that's where the real value is. Now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Doei!